Silk Road, can you speak to the scale of this thing? What, just for people who are not familiar, how big was it? And any other interesting things you understand about its operation when it was active?
So it was when we finally got looking through the books, and the numbers came out as about $1.2 billion in sales. It's kind of hard with the fluctuation value of Bitcoin at the time to come up with a real number. So you kind of pick a daily average, and go across. So
Most of the operation was done in Bitcoin.
it's all done in Bitcoin. You couldn't. You had escrow accounts on, you came in and you put money in an escrow account, and, the transaction wasn't done until the client got the drugs or whatever they had bought. And then the drug dealers had sent it in. There was some talk at the time that the cartel was starting to sell on there. So that started getting a little hairy there at the end.
What was your understanding of the relationship between organized crime, like the cartels, and this kind of more ad hoc, new age market that is the Silk Road?
I mean, it was all just chatter. It was just, because like I said, Jared was on the inside, so we saw some of it from the admin sides. And Ross had a lot of private conversations with the different people that he had advised him. But no one knew each other. I mean, the only thing that they knew with the admins had to send an ID to Ross, had to send a picture of their driver's license or passport, which I always found very strange, because if you are an admin on a site that sells fake IDs, why would you send your real ID? And then why would the guy running the site, who profits from selling fake IDs, believe that it was? But fast forward, tangent, they were all real IDs. All the IDs that we found on Ross's computer as the admins were the real people's IDs.
What do you make of that? Just other clumsiness?
Yeah, low-hanging fruit, I guess. I guess that's what it is. I mean, I would have bought, even Ross bought fake IDs off the site. He had federal agents knock on his door. And then he got a little cocky about it.
The landscape, the dynamics of trust is fascinating here. So you trust certain ideas, or like, who do you trust in that kind of market? What was your understanding of the network of trust?
I don't think anyone trusts anybody, I think Ross had his advisors of trust, but outside of that, he required people to send their ID for their trust. People stole from him. There's open cases of that. It's a criminal world. You can't trust anybody.
What was his life like, you think?
Lonely. Can you imagine being trapped in something like that, where your whole world focuses on that, and you can't tell people what you do all day?
Could he have walked away?
Like, someone else take over, or the site just shut down?
Either one. Just you putting yourself in his shoes, the loneliness, the anxiety, the growing immensity of it. So walk away with some kind of financial stability.
I couldn't have made it past 2 days. I don't like loneliness. If my wife's away, I probably call her 10, 12 times a day. We just talk about things. Something crossed my mind. I want to talk about it. And I'm sure
and you'd like to talk to her, like, honestly about everything. So if you were running Silk Road, you wouldn't be able to, like,
hopefully I'd have a little protection. I'd only mention to her when we were in bed, to have that marital connection. But who knows? She's going to question why the Ferrari is outside and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can come up with something. Why didn't he walk away? It's another question of, why don't criminals walk away in these situations?
Well, I don't know every criminal mind, and some do. AV Unit walked away. Not to go back to that son of a bitch, but
there's a theme to this.
But, Ross started counting his dollars. He really kept track of how much money he was making, and it started, getting exponentially growth. If he would have stayed at it, he would have probably been one of the richest people in the world.
And do you think he liked the actual money or the fact of the number growing?
Have you ever held a Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Well, he never
did. What
did.
do you mean held a Bitcoin?
You can't hold it. It's not real. It's not like I can give you a briefcase of Bitcoin,
right,
or something like that. Yeah. He liked the idea of it growing. He liked the idea. I think it started off as sharing this idea, but then he really did turn to, like, I am the captain of this ship, and that's what goes. And he was making a lot of money. And again, my interactions with Ross was about maybe 5 or 6 hours over a 2-day period. I knew DPR because I read his words and all that. I didn't really know Ross. There was a journal found on his computer, and so it sort of kind of gave me a little inside. So I don't like to do a playbook for criminals, but I'll tell you right now, don't write things down. There was a big fad about people, like, remember kids going around shooting people with paintballs and filming it? Mm-hmm. I don't know why you would do that. Why would you videotape yourself committing crime and then publish it? Like, if there's one thing I've taught my children, don't record yourself doing bad things. It never goes well. So,
and you actually give advice in the other end of logs being very useful for the defense perspective, for, you know, information is useful for being able to figure out what the attacks were all about.
Logs are the only reason I found Hector Monsegur. I mean, the one time his VPN dropped during a Fox hack, and he says it wasn't even hacking. He just was sent a link and he clicked on it. And in 10 million lines of logs, there was one IP address that stuck out.